Hebsy, we're live on the red carpet.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Short red carpet show today. Oh, my God. Look at the time. Did you guys have a power failure? Anybody have a power failure last night?
I had it.
Okay. I think that's what happened here because I didn't get the links that you sent me and we're running a little late. But boy, what an exciting day this is. I'll bet you're thinking, what the hell is he going to talk about today? No idea, right?
It's going to be a good one.
Going on in sports. Not a darn thing going on in sports. Or everything going on in sports.
So, Hebsy, I still want you to tweet this link. So, yeah, short red carpet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to tweet something at you in 1 minute. So,
okay, man.
Chat with your faithful, and I'll have this to you in 30 seconds.
Chat with the faithful. Yeah. So, how was everybody's week this week? Everybody all right? Hands up if you're not fully vaccinated.
I can't see their hands, Hebsy.
Just a second now. Okay, good. It's about the cross section, I guess, of any group of people you run into. But do you not look at someone now? Like, if you're fully vaccinated, do you not look at someone and go, I wonder if that person's vaccinated? And if they're acting a little bit strange, are you pretty much convinced that they don't have both doses?
But hey, Hebsy, man, it's about a 90-10 split, right? So, like, we're only talking 1 in 10. So it's, you won't encounter that many anti-vaxxers, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anti-vaxxer suggests to me that someone who's kind of militant about it.
All right. Well, hesitant or you're right.
Yeah, or whatever, but they want to let you know how they feel. A little more, outspoken.
They're going to
rallies. There's others who's
like,
like, I don't want to admit to, it's like someone who just doesn't want to admit to being from a certain background or whatever it is. They just, stand in the shadows and you have your beliefs and you're not really vocal about it. And there's a few of those too, I'm sure. Andrew Wiggins.
Is he? I hadn't heard.
Andrew, not his brother, is he? Andrew Wiggins.
I had no idea.
We'll talk about that too.
Okay.
Well, there you go. You're going to find some things out on the show today as soon as we get going.
Okay, you're going to go into your Twitter notifications and retweet the one I just tagged you on.
I'm doing it right now. I'm retweeting. I'm going to quote the tweet.
We're only 1 minute late. This is all good.
Well, that's not late. Because people who are
dead air. There's dead air.
Know that
right
we're
now.
not on right at 9:20, the red carpet show.
And those who watch live will enjoy this just as much. Like, this is part of the show.
Yeah. And the other thing too, 9:20 is only a marker somewhere. It's not etched in stone. Anyone who listens to the podcast isn't going to wonder if they started at 9:20 this morning. Sounds to me like they started a little late.
So people on your YouTube, they're letting us know if they're fully vaxxed. So, Russ Peterson's fully vaxxed. Gene Velitis is fully vaxxed. Dale Cano is in the GTA. He's back in Vancouver now. But go ahead.
Do we have a policy on this show that viewers have to be fully vaxxed, Mike?
No.
And if not, should we even consider something like that?
No.
I don't want to judge somebody. I mean, we're the nicest person in the world could be.
No,
not fully vaccinated.
It's one thing to say you got to be fully vaxxed to come to our live event. That's one thing. Okay, that makes sense. But to let people listen virtually, no, you could be full blown COVID and you can listen to the show. Maybe it'll make you feel better. COVID. Yeah, everybody going into that Alberta ICU right now is non-vaccinated. It's 100% of the recent admissions to ICU.
It's 90 some odd percent. And those who have been fully vaccinated and are ill, there are other factors involved.
Maybe they're immunocompromised
they may not take into consideration. Okay,
you ready?
Mike, I'm ready. I have tweeted this out.
Okay, good.
And I believe that it's all systems go. Very, very exciting day.
Yeah, we got lots of things to cover here. I'm excited. Okay, my friend. Oh, yeah, it's cold open, so let me count
Don't
you
hesitate
down.
with the questions either.
Oh, yeah,
Mike.
no. Are you kidding me?
If you've got a question.
You're my go-to sports media guy, so when news drops of that nature, I have to take a note for Hebsy, man. So, all right,
so hang on a second.
Okay, I'll count you down when you're ready. Gary Faber, he's fully waxed, but I think he's also fully vaxxed.
Bikini wax?
Fully waxed, yeah, Brazilian, I think.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
Come on, you know about Brazilian wax.
Brazilian
I know.
needs a strip.
Like
a landing.
I see
strip.
you there, and I also know that your little foray with Manscaped made you think a lot more about that. So,
you said the N word.
Brazilian. All right. So Mike
Right.
is, before we go, Mike is fully vaxxed and Brazilian waxed. Here we go. Let's go.
Recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. For my money, Crosswinds offers the best value of any public course in Ontario, and believe me, I've played a lot of them. Not only does Crosswinds offer a championship par 72 golf course in immaculate condition, but Crosswinds also has amenities that other public courses just don't have. New power carts with GPS. Oh, it's so cool because you're right next to the ball and it tells you exactly how far it is to every part of the course, not just the middle of the green. How far is it to that bunker? All that stuff. It's very cool. There's 5 sets of tees for golfers of all abilities, $1 million views of Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo, and of course, the nicest, friendliest people who provide the finest customer service you will ever experience. And customer service is pretty important. You'd think you were playing at a private club, but nope. Crosswinds is public. So what are you waiting for? Go to crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time today, and don't forget to tell them that Hebsy sent you. Now, Mike, can we please start the podcast? Live from Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 251. Hi there, sports fans. Mark Hebscher here in the Little Italy studios. Toronto Mike there, running the mothership from New Toronto. We'll talk to him in a second. But first of all, what a show today. This will be our best show because this is so chock full of topics that there are certain sports we can't talk about. We won't have the time, and we won't do them justice. So stuff that I'm interested only is what we're going to talk about today. Only me. We will not be talking about the WNBA playoffs. We won't. Because nobody knows where the Mystics, the Mercury, the Liberty, the Sparks, the Storm, the Sky, the Lynx, or the Wings even play anyway. And when they put their scores up there, they only put the name of the nickname of the team. They don't even tell you what city they're in. And when Toronto gets a team, I want to know. All right? Like, oh, the Togos, who are they? Oh, that's the Toronto team. The Sky, who are they from? Lynx, Lynx. Anyway, we're not going to be talking about the WNBA. We are going to be talking about the Blue Jays. And is it time to drop George Springer from the leadoff spot in the order already? How much more evidence do you need? And for those of you who think that I hate George Springer and want him to fail, you're 100% wrong. I'm a Blue Jays fan through and through. I want what's best for the team. I'm not sure George Springer wants what's best for the team. He wants what's best for him. And his pride is getting in the way. And Charlie Montoyo's pride. Oh, he's comfortable in the leadoff spot. He's not comfortable in the leadoff spot. He's 4 for his last 40. So we'll talk about that. And they're thinking of playing him in center field? Oy vey. With crutches? $150 million man. This is the most important time of the year. Chance for you to get into the playoffs. And they're playing like a bunch of bums. Big upheaval in the sports media world. Don't know if you heard. Leo Rautins gone from Sportsnet. Jim Hughson gone from Sportsnet. Mike Zigomanis gone from Sportsnet. And others nutmegged. You know what I mean by nutmegged?
Shelved?
Right in the balls. Okay?
Okay.
You got some, like in soccer, a nutmeg is when you put the ball between your opponent's legs and beat them that way. That's you're nutmegging them.
I had no idea.
Right? But the word nut, of course, you know.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, that's what happened. You know, Sportsnet. Think of all the people that they've let go. All white guys. Just think about that. And don't even get me started with Raptors radio and the TV crews, the 2 sports networks. Who's with who? Leo's not there, but Sherm, but is he over there with Jones, Smith? Matt, is he? Who? What? Jack? Hello? What? Who's with who? Who are the sideline reporters? Why don't they just have one crew? Okay? Doesn't matter what network. Do I care what network it's on? Do I care if it's channel 33 or 32? It doesn't matter to me. But give me some consistency with the broadcast crews. I know I'm going on and on, but it's my damn show. We're going to get into the Ryder Cup, which is going on as we speak, okay? It's the U.S. versus the world. Versus Europe, actually, but, you know, that's the way they look at it. We'll talk about Jack Eichel. Tyler Bertuzzi of the Red Wings, who won't get vaccinated, Andrew Wiggins of Golden State, who won't get vaccinated, other people who won't get vaccinated. We'll also talk about people who have been fully vaccinated, including our good friend Toronto Mike over there. How's that for a segue? What a week in sports. Holy cow.
Lots to talk about today. And I don't think anyone has the right to complain if you only want to talk about the sports that you're interested in, because the title of this show is literally Hebsy on Sports. I think it's inferred this is Hebsy on Sports.
No way for a second did I ever think of watching a second of a WNBA game.
I didn't know it was going on. I had no idea.
Now you know.
Now I know. Now today I learned. How you doing, Hebsy? How you doing there in Little Italy?
Really
studio?
good.
Good.
Looking forward to a nice weekend. Hopefully no rain. That rain the other day was just too much.
Oh, a lot of rain.
Two games at Crosswinds wiped out because of the rain and the conditions this week.
You know,
it's terrible.
If I may say, as a friend and colleague of yours, that you seem to be like peaking. This seems to be peak Hebsy. You are just on fire, like creatively. You seem so happy. I think
my ego has gotten the best of me.
I think you're in a good place in your life.
Our friend Ian Service provided the latest numbers for the show, and I am gobsmacked.
You're kicking ass, taking names. What's going
well
on?
Because it's omnipresent. People are always talking about numbers. What are the numbers like on the fan morning show? What are the numbers? What are the numbers? Right. And remember, I told you 190. I sold 190 of those.
Yeah,
things, and like, sorry, the numbers just didn't add up, Mark. The numbers, and I'm sure that when they tapped Jim Hughson on the shoulder, or tapped Leo on the shoulder, tapped Ziggy on the shoulder, it was like, oh, how much money can we save? If these people are gone and in the package, it's just all about numbers.
Well,
George Springer makes 150 million. If I didn't know he made 150 million, if no one knew what his salary was, would it make a difference? Sure. But once you know that this guy's making that much, and once you know that person's position, and some bean counter goes, if we can convince Houston to retire, if we can get rid of Zigomanis, and if we can find a way, I don't know how we're going to do it, but if we get Leo Rautins to admit that he's just too white, and in this current culture of basketball, certainly, we can't have all white guys on our broadcast crew. Where there's diversity, we need to have people of color. We need to have persons with disabilities. We need to have females. We have to have everyone represented. And we're looking at our basketball coverage and going, And I don't have to tell you who's white and who's black. You know that. But optics are everything in television. Everything. Don't forget that. Ever.
Are we getting into this right now? Or are we going to do Jays first?
Just a second, all right?
Only because I got questions.
Well, go ahead. Ask your questions.
Does this bother you? Let's say they did intentionally, because it's possible Sportsnet wanted to diversify their NBA coverage, right? The players, the audience, they're diverse. Why shouldn't the broadcasters be diverse? So if it's possible.
Are you telling me that Alvin Williams is anywhere near as good a Raptors broadcaster as Leo Rautins? Now, just remember, Alvin Williams is a member of the organization, whether you want to believe it or not, whether he's currently employed by the Raptors. This is a guy who is a player, assistant coach, director of player development.
But
so he's a Raptor. So what happens is, when the time comes, if the team needs to be criticized, you're not going to get Alvin Williams doing any criticism. But Leo Rautins, of course, because Leo Rautins is an analyst and Leo Rautins doesn't care, right? He's not under the thumb of the Toronto Raptor organization when it comes to being critical.
But Rogers already owns a good chunk of this basketball team. Like Rogers, they're already in bed together. Like it's already, forget the fact they're partners on the broadcast side. They literally, I think it's 37.5% of that team is owned by Rogers.
All right. So
if you're going down that road, there's already okay, go ahead, sir.
Leo, it's been a great 25 years. And we know that people grew up with you, but the culture's changed. And you're a 61-year-old white guy. Now, if we didn't know about color and didn't care, we would say, just give me the best guy. Give me the guy who's best, the guy who knows. But is it important today to the executives at Rogers that their broadcasters are of a certain vintage? Like, is it important that Leo was there from day one and can reference Damon Stoudemire and Oliver Miller and stuff like that? Or is it more important that whoever's sitting next to Matt Devlin is more urban, more culturally in tune with today's basketball fan.
Diversity is not a bad thing, Hebsy. And I think that you to judge, okay, so 20 something
years. Give me the best guy or girl.
But
hey, by the way, the NBA has 2 female play-by-play callers this year on radio. Full-time play-by-play caller, females. 2 of them. They just hired Kate Scott, the Philadelphia 76ers. And I can't think of the other woman's name, and I apologize, from the Milwaukee Bucks. Right? Now, they're good. They're good. They know basketball. They know the league. They know the NBA. They're young. They're hip. Right? They can probably do, I don't know, but they can probably give you crossover stuff from WNBA, from women's college basketball, as well as men's college basketball. And so they've got the background for it. And maybe they've got the patter that today's audience wants to hear. That's the way it is. You don't like it? Too bad, right? You're saying you're being racist, Hebsy, or you're reading too much into it? Maybe I am.
I would just like to point out that how good was Leo Rautins those first couple of years? Like, he had a couple of decades to hone his skill and get better. And it's highly possible that Alvin Williams is going to put in his reps and get better and maybe be an even better analyst than Leo Rautins at the end of the day. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? He's had that spot for 2+ decades. It's okay to freshen it up and give someone else a chance to improve.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Okay.
But is Alvin Williams going to be learning on the job? Because I saw Alvin Williams enough times doing his little inserts on with the panel, which is the easiest thing in the world. You ask a guy a question, he's got knowledge, he gives you the answer. They might play a different story. And obviously pairing with Matt Devlin, who from everyone I've spoken to is the easiest guy to work with. Right. He'll make you look great. He makes Jack Armstrong look great. He makes Leo look great. And whoever he works with when he's done baseball games, he's just a superb, smooth play-by-play guy who allows the analyst, the color man or color woman, to do their job, right? Like a traffic cop too, but he calls the play. But they get engaged. They get into conversations. He'll ask Jack or Leo during the course of play what they think, poke the bear a little bit, right?
Right.
So will Alvin Williams and Matt Devlin make a great team? That takes time. You don't just drop 2 people together. And are fans willing to, go through that? Well, I guess they don't have any choice. But again, the optics of it are, and if you remember that famous poster that the Fan 590 had, a bunch of old white guys, 8 or 10 of them, McCowan, Jeff Blair, on and on and on.
Stephen Brent.
Take a look at the Raptors broadcast crew. You've got Sherman Hamilton and you've got Paul Jones, but Paul Jones is always doing radio play-by-play or color, right? I mean, you see him occasionally. They'll go to him as a guest, and he's very good, Paul. Has been for years. But he's radio. And Sherman Hamilton, you'll see on TV, on Raptors TV and stuff like that. And as a studio guy. But does he have that presence on television? No, not the same way. Now with Alvin Williams, you're going to have that. It's going to be more diverse looking. So that's the answer to your question. Is that all right?
Well, I don't think there's an answer, but it's possible that one of the reasons for this change is money, right? Like we always talk about cutting costs. Oh, yeah. So the fact that Leo's been there a couple of decades, maybe they got Alvin for a much smaller price tag.
Maybe they went to Leo and said, look, Leo, we can't offer you the money that we did before. We're going to offer you this, which many networks, not just sports networks, people are offering. The story of Kenny Mayne and the ESPN. They had offered him a 40% cut.
Right.
And he was like, no, you can't treat me that way. And so it's quite possible. Again, the bean counters at Rogers went, look, Leo, you can keep working here, but you're going to have to take a lesser role and for less money. And I don't know what Leo's status is at TSN.
He's still there.
He's still going to be part of TSN's studio show?
Yes.
With Rod Black?
I don't know about Rod's back. I don't know if Rod Black is back, but definitely Leo said on Twitter today that he's part of the TSN broadcast. Good. The rest of the TSN broadcast is changed also? No, it's the same. It's Jack Armstrong with Matt Devlin on TSN. See, that's the other thing. Is I looked at the schedule, and it's almost like every game that's on Sportsnet television, the radio game is on TSN 1050. That's how they do it.
And every game that's on TSN television, the radio game is on Sportsnet radio. It's just
But yeah,
why can't they come up with like, okay, share it on 2 stations, but I don't understand why you have to have a different crew on a different station.
But that's the deal. That way they each get a little taste of whatever game that is. Like, I think
I guess we're
the
used
fairest
to
way
the
to
Blue
do
Jays.
it.
Well, mind you, with the Blue Jays, we've got different play-by-play guys too from different places, but they're all Rogers Productions. All 162 games except for the YouTube game,
right, is
Rogers Productions.
Right.
And here you're pretty much using. I'm pretty sure it's the same crew, with a few exceptions. I got to believe it's same camera people, right? TSN's like, okay, you're not in for this game. This is a Sportsnet game. I think that's somewhat of an inside production, Raptors production, and the producers are from TSN and or Sportsnet.
Yeah, it might even be like a Dome Productions or something that just does it for either or, right?
But the viewer doesn't know that, doesn't care.
No, the viewer doesn't care.
The best possible coverage.
And the viewers, the consistency, of course, is that no matter what station you're watching the game on, Matt Devlin's making the call. Like, that is your, I guess that's your main consistency across the. But okay,
things change though, Mike. It's so different
I'll say
in broadcasting now.
Change sucks, right? Like, people love Chuck Swirsky, right? And they're like, oh my god, like people loved him, right? Ham and cheese. What was it? Salami and cheese. I can't remember anymore. What was his big catchphrase? Salami.
Onions.
Yeah, he had a few of them. But then we all kind of got used to Devlin, and winning a championship helped. And he turns out Devlin's pretty damn good at this. I think change is tough. Like, I think we like the fact Leo was like a consistency through the decades, and now he's gone, and we have to get used to somebody else. But rest assured, we will adapt, and we might end up even liking Alvin at the end of the day. So, you know,
what happens when Jack Armstrong reaches the Leo Rautins limit of however many years? Then what happens?
I don't know. Jack is sort of a larger than life presence.
Larger than Leo?
Yeah, I think so. I think Leo's very good, and he's consistently, but he doesn't have the same razzmatazz as a Jack Armstrong. Jack Armstrong has more shtick. No, Jack's got shtick, right? So I feel like he's more memorable, maybe noticeable.
You're telling me that Leo didn't have shtick, and that's why he's out. And Jack's
no, I'm saying that I think
play-by-play.
I think it'll be more difficult to replace the guy with the beloved shtick than the decent, the good quality analyst. Don't you think?
We're going to get into Hughson and the other ones later.
Okay? Oh, you want to do that later? Okay.
Well, yeah, because I want to get to the Blue Jays, because we're living and dying with this team. I'm not living and dying with Leo Rautins being on as long as the Raptors games are still on.
Right.
But I don't know how much longer we're going to be watching Blue Jay baseball. We're hoping for playoffs and more, but
let's get into it.
I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I'm a Blue Jays fan and have been since day one. And even when I worked in the media, the traditional terrestrial media, it was very hard to mask my love for the team. So I had to sort of be extra critical a lot of times in order to appear to be impartial, to balance it out. But deep down, I'm a good journalist, I think, but deep down you've got feelings and, that you can't just turn off. You can't not be a Jays fan if you were your whole life from the time you were a kid. You just can't. So you got to balance that. And so when I say things like, George Springer's being wasted at the top of the batting order in a pennant race because the manager feels some sort of obligation to him in his $150 million contract, I hope you'll understand. It's not personal with Springer. I want the Jays to win. Number one, I don't care who contributes to it. I want to see my team win. George Springer wasn't here for all the years that I was a Jays fan, and he'll be gone, and I'll still be a Jays fan. You got that? So it's not personal with Springer. I want him to do well in the grand scheme of things with the team. But I can't see him playing at less than 100%, hurting the team, and for this being allowed to continue. Do you see where I'm hurting here? He's 4 for his last 40. 4 for 40 with 0 RBI in the leadoff spot. Never dropped down. God forbid. Buck Martinez is always saying he's comfortable. He's more comfortable in the leadoff spot. What the fuck does that mean? He's more comfortable in the leadoff spot. Well, I'm more comfortable making $150 million. So it's not personal. So when someone says, when Springer gets a hit and somebody tweets out, hey, Hebsy, Springer. You got it wrong, man. You got it fucking wrong. I want him to do well, but he's not 100%, and he's hurting the team. Name me another leadoff hitter for a contending team that's gone 4 for 40. with 0 RBI. You can't name it. I dare you. That person doesn't exist, except George Springer does, on a team that's 1 game out of a playoff spot. And now with a freak injury to Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who the fuck kneels in front of a guy that's throwing the ball back to the infield, puts his hand down? Who does that? That is the goofiest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen an injury like that before, ever. Your teammate spikes you on the hand because you're kneeling down so that he can throw. And then when he throws, he's got to like leapfrog you. The hell. So guess what? Charlie Montoyo is forced to play Springer in center field now. He's not going to do it in Toronto on the artificial turf. He's got 3 games left in Minnesota. Guess what? He's got no other choice now. You're going to have to put Springer out there in center field. And I'm not sure that's a great defensive move because you got to free up the DH so that Alejandro Kirk can DH or somebody other than Springer can play that spot. You can free him up. Should he be dropped in the batting order? He should be benched. He's 4 for 40, but you can't do that. There's 9 games left in the season. You've rolled the dice. You've allowed him to play leadoff. He's going, please let me try. I know I can do it. He's hit some balls hard. Of course he has. But man, he's 4 for 40. And when you're 4 for 40, you don't go, tomorrow he'll just snap out of it. I mean, he probably will. Right? Because that's the way baseball is. You go 4 for 40 and then you go 10 for your next 29. Whatever. But man, we're running out of time here. Mm-hmm. And he's hitting leadoff and he's not helping the team hitting leadoff. He came up with the bases loaded. Could have been a hero, or at least could have gotten the Jays closer, because we know how the Jays are in the late innings. All you need is 1 run. Open the floodgates a little bit. Here comes the top of the order. Top of the order is, it's Springer. Then it's Semien. Then it's Vladdy. Then it's Bo. Then it's Teoscar. But it starts with Semien, with Springer. And you can't have him there. So go with Semien. Go with Bo as the leadoff man. Drop Springer down in the order. I mean, you can't take him out. You can't just bench him, can you? I mean, Charlie couldn't do that. But you got to win. You lost 7-2 last night to the fucking Twins. You can't afford to do this. And all this drama going on while the Jays are still trying to get past this Kevin Kiermaier, pick a card, any card, saga, if you want to call it, soap opera, directed and produced by Arash Madani, who's down there. And instead of just like, here's Charlie Montoyo, here's Pete Walker, and doing the interviews and the inserts, he finds this story of a card flipping out. And oh my God, in front of the cameras, Kevin Kiermaier took a card and put it in his pocket and wouldn't give it back to the bat boy. Now, I've been reading some other stuff. This bat boy has not been quoted. It's all unnamed sources. Okay. Yesterday, a Blue Jays pitcher told me that he would have hit Kiermaier as well. That was the quote. Really? A Blue Jays pitcher? Come on. I mean, everybody, I want to hit him too. That's an ill-timed hit. You don't do it when you're in the thick of a freaking pennant race and you're risking losing Baraki. Not that he's been any great shakes. Losing your manager and also being a distraction from the task at hand, which is win the game. Don't get distracted by Kevin Kiermaier. He's not public enemy number 1. That wasn't theft. He didn't steal something. Are you telling me that if George Springer, speaking of stealing, Houston Astros, not that we're bringing it up, but let's just say it was Springer. Let's say it was Vladdy. I don't know. Let's say it was Corey Dickerson. Slides into home, sees the card, picks up the card. You're telling me they wouldn't? You're going to say, here, I'm going to give it back to you? Even all over the internet and Twitter, it's like finders keepers. You've got a 50-50 split with this whole story. And I don't even think it's a story. I think it's much ado about nothing.
Right.
Stealing signs, gamesmanship. What's going on here? The information that was on that, what is this, Mission Impossible? That it should self-destruct if it comes out of your wristband or out of your cap or your back pocket?
Right.
Can you imagine? Seriously. What other sport is like that? They're set for the face-off. Wait a second, Crosby's taking off his helmet. He's checking the inside. He's got the code. No, even better. The helmet advertising has a QR code that gives you the signals. Okay, where are we supposed to line up for this one
Hebsy,
here?
if this information was so vital, you'd memorize it. You wouldn't write it down.
But whenever I see guys looking at their thing, and I see more cross-ups now in baseball than I've ever seen. The catcher's waiting for a fastball. Here comes a curveball. Catcher's expecting a curve. There's a high fastball. With all this information that's going on in the signs, this whole thing with signs has really become ridiculous. You're trying to steal my signs. Well, guess what? Do a better job revealing them or concealing them. But the card comes out of the catcher's wristband?
Right.
Come on. And we've got a story here. And good for a rash. Look, you're down there by yourself. There's no broadcast crew. It's you. I think Shai Davidi was with him.
And
down
it is
in
a story,
Tampa
Hebsy. Like, regardless of your thoughts on it, it is a story. Right? This is a story. It's definitely, we watch these Zapruder
tell me
films.
What the story is. The retaliation by the Jays?
No, it's more of an unwritten code discussion, because he did pick that up and he kept it and showed it to the manager and everything. And is there an honor amongst thieves? Like, it is an interesting.
Apparently not.
Right. So is it all? Is all fair in love and war?
I just want to let you know, Mike, that when we bang twice on the trash can, that's the curveball. All right. Just want to let you know. Okay. Because we don't want to think that you're stealing signs. So we're telling you in advance. Here's the card. Here it is. It's got all the info. What do you think's on that card? What do you really think is on that card?
How to pitch to certain players. How to pitch to.
Or tendencies the guy might have.
Sure.
Now you're telling me you can't remember that? Oh.
No, right.
Springer.
Anything that important should be memorized.
Do?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Mike.
It's like the nuclear code.
I'm only going to ask you this. If it were a Blue Jay player, not Kevin Kiermaier, in that situation, do you honestly think they would have done anything different?
No, I actually don't. I personally don't think this is a big story, but I think it's worth talking about. Like, I think it's great fodder for people like us and for all the sports radio personnel, etc. Like, it's a great debate and discussion to have. I think, and we have it all on tape, which is kind of unique. Like, we don't have to hear secondhand stories. Like, I saw this, I saw that. We can watch him pick up the paper.
But in actual fact, the real story, Mike, was it not the umpiring and how horrible the umpiring was and how it really had an effect on the Blue Jays, especially. And Pete Walker's explosion was the culmination of that. The story wasn't, he stole my card and didn't give it back. And then they put in shots. The other thing is Sportsnet put in shots of Charlie Montoyo and Kevin Cash around the batting cage, sort of somewhat embracing. But they didn't tell you the timeline of that. They didn't say when that shot was taken. I think there was a bit of deception there that made the viewer think, because Kevin Cash had apologized and because there was video of the two of them around the batting cage, that this matter had been dropped. There wasn't any time prior to Borucki hitting Kiermaier that I thought there was going to be anything going on. And if it was going to happen, it would have happened the night before. So that was sort of like nothing happened the night before. Then the big story that Arash comes out with, a big story. And Blue Jays officials told me that they were very upset at Tampa and manager Kevin Cash and Charlie Montoyo was upset when the bat boy came back, allegedly, and told them that they wouldn't give it back. The freaking bat boy works for Tampa. He's a kid that works for Tampa and is the visiting team's bat boy. Now, you're going to tell me, in all honesty, and I don't know how old this kid or anything, but you're going to tell me that this is the key here, that the bat boy went over there and said, we want our card back. And they said, get out of here. Go fucking shine some shoes. Stuff like that. Right? That's like the bat boy right now. That's him right now.
It's a good fellas, Jeff. All right. I got a few places I want to go here, but one thing is you opened up here by telling us that you, much like Jerry Seinfeld says, you cheer for laundry. And I do this too. You cheer for the uniform. So whatever body's in that uniform, you're going to cheer for it because you're a Blue Jays fan. Okay, many of us feel the same way. Meanwhile,
it's the crest on the front. It's not the name on the back. Right.
Except without a doubt, you have a natural, properly so, a dislike for George Springer because of the Astro scandal. Like,
no. It's not a dislike. He's got to prove he's a $150 million man. Prove to me that you're worth the money, but also that you're worthy of being a member of this baseball team. Prove to me. Prove to me that you're not trying to prove to yourself because of your ego that you're okay to play. Prove to me that you're a team player. And so far, he hasn't. He's been out there injured. He's hurt the team. I'm not saying, strip me of the captaincy or whatever, but take me out of the leadoff. I'm not helping the team. I'm batting 100 and I'm the DH. Look, if he was batting 100 in his last 40 at-bats, but he was playing fantastic center field, no problem. But he's not doing anything. As the DH, he's clogging up that position, and he's not producing.
So
if you're the DH, you have to produce offensively. If you're the DH and you're the leadoff hitter, doubly so. You've got to get on base and set the. How come Vladdy is not part of the Triple Crown discussion anymore? Do you know why? Springer's not on base for Vladdy to drive in. Got it? And Simeon, who's hitting ahead of Vladdy's got 41 home runs. So where's Vladdy going to drive runs in now? Where's he going to get those ribbies? Teoscar's got them. But it's because Springer, your leadoff man's not getting on base. 0 for 5 last night, 0 for 5 the night before in games that you've got to win. So I don't hate Springer. I hate the way he's playing. He's not playing good enough, and he's not contributing to this team.
So even though Buck Martinez thinks that George Springer is more comfortable in the leadoff spot, Hebsy man is not.
I don't know what that means.
Not comfortable.
I don't know what that means.
You're
I don't know
not
how Buck would
comfortable
know
with,
this. Buck's sitting at his home in Florida, unvaxxed. How would he know? Like, did he say, I spoke to George Springer on thing? Or did he just, is he, I don't know, reading notes or something? How does he know? And what does that mean? He's more comfortable in the leadoff spot. If he's not in the leadoff spot, is he going to like throw a tantrum? Is this the kind of player we've got here? It's great to see him in the dugout with the guys while he was on the IL. You're damn right. 150 million, you better be there helping your teammates out. But man, you can't come up with the bases loaded or in key situations where they need base runners. He's got 2 extra base hits, 2 doubles in his last 40 at-bats. One of them is a bloop double he hit the other night to no man's land. He's hit a few balls hard, yeah, but come on. You've got to justify your position as the leadoff hitter and the DH.
And there's no tomorrow. Like, we're running out of tomorrows. Like, it's now or never. This is the time.
Now's the time, George. It's great that you're running it out, hustling for doubles and all that with your bad knee. It's great. But, geez, get on base. Do something. Now, Ryan Barucki, was he wrong? Should he have not retaliated? Is this 2 wrongs don't make a right? All that stuff like that. I mean, he drilled him in the back with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. That ball didn't slip out of his hands. Right? He knew exactly what he was doing. And even though you cannot measure intent, that was an intentional hit. He meant to hit him. Look at the situation. They weren't going to get up again. They're not seeing Tampa during the regular season anymore. They might see him in the playoffs. Barucki is not an effective pitcher on this team, no matter what you say. I mean, look at the pitching staff and go, oh, boy, we got a great staff. Well, we got some great starters until Matt's faltered and Ryu's hurt. Now you're going to go with a 3-man rotation down the stretch, right? Yeah, because you got that off day next week. And so Ryan Barucki is not an effective pitcher.
Right.
He's not going to get anybody out. So what do they care? You're telling me Jordan Romano would have done that? No way. And also the possibility that someone could have gotten injured with 10 games to go in the season in a pennant race because you threw at a guy, right? It's great to make you feel better. But what if the bench is empty? What if Vladdy got tackled? What if something happened, right? What if Kiermaier got hurt? What if you injured him and he couldn't play for Tampa? Man, you can't do that, man. You got to pick your spots. The timing was bad. And how did the Jays react after that? Because how many people went, yeah, good, you hit him, okay? It's going to spur the Jays on to victory. Wait till you see what happens after that. They're going to be loaded for bear. Oh, yeah, they were loaded for bear last night. They got beat 7-2. They got to win the next 3 against Minnesota. They got Berrios, Robbie Ray, and Alek Manoah, their best starters going. The team's 1 full game back of the Yankees for the final wild card. Boston's 2 games up on the Yanks for home field advantage, and those 2 play each other at Fenway this weekend. 3 games, Yankees and Red Sox. Beautiful. What are we hoping for there? Here's what we're hoping for. Jays have to win all their games. They've got to win the next 3 in Minnesota. 2 out of 3 is not going to do it. And the Red Sox, if they can take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, then we got a flat foot tie heading into next week's series at Skydome, where the Jays are hoping more that they can put 30,000 people in there. They care more about that than whether they can win or not. That's what they're caring about. They're putting all their energies. We got to have more people come and watch us play.
Different people. Like, they can do both.
I got it. But I'm just saying that. Come on. Priorities here. You've got to win every game. Are you going to do it with George Springer hitting leadoff? Make it a little more difficult. But you've got 3 good pitchers, man. 3 maybe of the best starters in the American League going here, right? Really good. I mean, Alek Manoah is going to be the best of them all. This kid is dynamite. So let's win all 3 in Minnesota. Let's hope to be even with the Yankees coming into that series at Skydome. Up 1 would be great. Down 1, not so great. Right? And, go for it, man. Because even if one team is up or down by a game, that 3-game set against the Yankees is crucial. Crucial. What's going to happen, Mike? What's going to happen?
We've lost 2 in a row. I think that's the first time we've lost 2 in a row since like late August.
August 27th, 28th.
So that's even before TMLX 8. Okay. So I just wanted to work that in there. Man, I got to say this. Thank goodness it's exciting. There's so many years recently where we've been kind of tuned out by now because there's no hope for this team. And it's exciting that we have games to get excited about. I just dig the fact that we talk this much Blue Jays off the top.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
No.
Any ranters out? Anybody agreeing with me on YouTube today?
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, there was like these two factions. There was this, the Jays did that right. They should have thrown at Kiermaier. Kiermaier is an asshole. Kiermaier is a thief. He should be in jail. And then there's the other half going, oh, come on.
It's probably not half and half. It just sounds that way. I have to admit, I took my eye off the chat, but it's vibrant. It's almost going to take me 20 minutes to catch up here. But you've got your listenership engaged. That's for sure.
Good. So that's the American League situation. The Jays really can control their own destiny. But man, you can't be losing to Minnesota. So they got to win the next 3 games. A split is not going to do it. If that's the case, you got to hope Boston sweeps the Yankees.
Right.
And I mean, they could. They could, Boston, or the Yankees could sweep Boston. Who knows? But I don't know who to root for in that series. I know I'm rooting for a sweep. If one team sweeps and the Jays can win the next 3 against Minnesota, we're in good shape. Especially if the Red Sox sweep the Yankees. We're in really good shape. We're 2 up on the Yanks. Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. In the National League, it looks like it's going to be the Dodgers hosting the amazing St. Louis Cardinals in the wild card game. Redbirds have won 12 in a row. They're 4.5 games up on Philadelphia for that final wild card spot, so they pretty much got that. But the Phillies are only 2 back of Atlanta in the National League East. 2 back. And guess who play each other this weekend in Atlanta? The Phillies and Los Bravos. So we got not just one pennant race going on here. We got a couple of them, and that's good. But if you're a Cardinal fan, you got to love it. 12 wins in a row in September. 12 in a row. They were dead and buried. Worse than the Jays were back when they were, 9.5 back of the Yankees. And now they've won 12 straight.
Wow.
Fabulous. And St. Louis is such a good baseball city. It's such a great baseball town. And they got the Canadian kid, Tyler O'Neill, too, playing left field. So good stuff there. Now, Jays play-by-play announcer Dan Schulman pointed out on Twitter yesterday that there are only 2 teams in Major League Baseball that he knows of. He believes it's the Cubs and White Sox, who are sending their television announce crew on the road. And that fans really shouldn't be upset that Dan and Buck and Pat Tabler aren't on the road doing games from the ballpark. As I mentioned, Sportsnet's been sending Arash Madani on the road, and that investigative report of his presented quite dramatically. Got this whole Cardgate thing going.
Got us talking.
It was good. No, for sure. Unfortunately, it's a bad look when the announcers who are at home have to call on Arash for information because he's at the park and they aren't. It's weird. So a few times, and I can't remember what game it was, there was something going on the field, and Dan and Buck were speculating as to what it was. And I'm like, call Arash. He's there. Flip the switch. He should have a live mic. And again, I don't know what kind of setup they have on the road. It's like, look, here's a microphone. You can use the camera here, or we're not putting you on camera because that'll cost more money, right? We'll hook you up with audio. And if something happens there that since you're right down in the field, supposedly, can let us know, then do so. So I'm tweeting out where's Arash with all this? He's there. And then, I don't know, 2 minutes later, let's go down to Arash, that kind of thing. It's hard, man. It's going to be really hard. And luckily, when they come back to the Dome, Dan will be in the booth. I wonder if Buck will be in Florida or if it'll be Pat in the booth with Dan, or all 3 of them. I don't know.
I'll bet against all 3 of them.
Yeah, I'll bet against that.
It'll be one of the other. All right. Now, we talked. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry for interrupting here, but you said something when we were chatting about Leo Rautins being booted off the Sportsnet broadcast of Raptor games. You mentioned Jim Hughson getting the tap on the shoulder, and I would love for you to elaborate on that because by all accounts, he chose to retire, but are you suggesting he was told to retire?
I don't know, man. I could speculate like anyone else. Is it my business? No. But you got to wonder how a guy who was, I don't know, went into the Hall of Fame not that long ago and had a vibrant career as the number one guy at Sportsnet and the guy doing the Stanley Cup final, that suddenly you never hear from him again. Like, he didn't do any games last year.
Well, that's okay. I have this inside
And
scoop.
then it's announced prior to the season that he's retired.
So Sportsnet went to their personnel and said, during this COVID time, tell us if you do not want to travel and we'll accommodate that. Like, I think Buck took advantage of this, for example. But Jim Hughson is one of the ones who put up his hand and said, I don't want to travel. So last season, he only called Canuck games that were at home. And he did not go on the road. Yeah, he called home Canuck games.
On what? On radio, TV?
No, at Sportsnet. Yeah. As far as I know, he did work last year, but only
John Shorthouse did those games.
Okay, Christine Simpson told me he was calling Canucks games, but not.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
I'd
never heard him. I mean, in this market, we never. Did you?
I can't remember. Like, I honestly can't remember, but I do remember being under the impression that Jim was just not leaving Vancouver. Like, he wasn't getting on a plane. And then I have two thoughts on this. I actually gave this some great thought yesterday. I have an inside source who talked to Jim Hughson, like, like 4 months ago or something. And Jim was contemplating retirement at that time, like hanging up his headphones or whatever. And it's possible that they told him, okay, this season you have to travel, and he didn't want to travel. Like, it sounds like he's being super caught. He's a 64-year-old guy who doesn't want to fly around with this virus everywhere. Now, I think maybe that might have caused him to, retire at this point. But also, it's worth noting that he did quite well for himself. I've heard he might have been making like almost $1 million a year or whatever. And maybe at 64 years, he's good with it all, and he's ready to just enjoy life in British Columbia.
Remember, once it becomes work, and it's not fun anymore, and you can afford to say goodbye, good on you, man. If that was the case, good on Jim. It's about quality of life. You're 64 years old. You're thinking, look, I'm 65. You're thinking to yourself, all right, how many years have I got left of, a healthy, vibrant lifestyle if I want to live that, and how many years is that going to take off of me?
I was going to say,
right?
Based on your parents, you've got several decades to go.
Well, several decades to go. But again, when you reach that age, you go, but that's 15 years out of those 15 or 12, let's say there's 20 years. Let's say he says, okay, till in my mid 80s, and then maybe I can take it easy there. I don't think anybody wants to retire from something that they enjoy doing.
Right.
Like, but once it becomes a chore and you look and say, do I need to make another couple of million in the next 2 years?
Right.
Or am I okay where I can start spending the money that I've saved and enjoying the life that I have? Because especially with COVID, I don't know how many more, and I'm sure Jim and other people have been affected, not necessarily directly, but by people that they knew that suffered from COVID, the scare.
Sure.
Maybe they haven't recovered fully. Maybe they're not the person they were before. And you're looking at your own life going, you know what? I got to start living because I don't know what's going to fricking happen. And so why not? You look at your portfolio and go, I'm fine. I'm good. How much do I need to have?
I think that's what happened here. I'm not certain he got that tap
Jim
on the shoulder. I think he might have just called his shot here and said,
man,
I'm
great.
done.
I think it's great. And you know what? He leaves on top. His legacy is clean, right?
Yeah.
Went out on his own terms. Good for him.
Now, a lot of Leaf fans.
I'm not sure that was the case with the other announcers recently.
Who?
Going out on their own terms.
Leo Rautins. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was a bloodletting. Sportsnet, that's a bloodletting. What are we going to do this week? All right. Leo out. Hughson out. Zigomanis out. What about next week? Well, let's wait. In the meantime, sports TV, sports radio in this city, in this country, has gone cuckoo. We don't know what's going on. Nobody's job is safe. I mean, Rautins was doing games since day one. Mm-hmm. There was no indication that he wasn't doing a good job. In fact, I thought he got better and better as an analyst.
Right.
But instead, sitting next to Matt Devlin will be Alvin Williams, who is unproven as a color analyst. He's done some TV, sure. He's got strong ties to the team, right? He worked in management. He was director of player development for the Raptors. He was an assistant coach for the Raptors. He played for the Raptors. And now he's going to be a Raptors mouthpiece alongside Matt Devlin. He's not there to be a journalist. He's not there to question or criticize. He's there to, help boost the team's fortunes, which is perfectly fine in this day and age of sports broadcasting. You don't need to have the journal. You don't need to have your play-by-play and color guy cutting up the team, right? What do you want that for? You work for the team. We want you to boost the team as much as possible. And even if they're horrible and awful, you don't have to say it in so many words. Sugarcoat it, baby. The broadcasters don't come on a game and, ladies and gentlemen, just want to let you know, I am not being paid for by the team, and the comments are mine and mine alone. You don't hear that. You got to figure that out for yourself. And when you've got a home announcer, that home announcer is a homer. Should be a homer. You're the home team announcer.
Right.
I think Joe Bowen ever considered going, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm going to root as much. I want to be impartial. No, it's not a Hockey Night in Canada. He's doing Leaf broadcasts. The Leafs on radio. Leaf fans tune in. Non-Leaf fans don't tune in. And if they do, they don't expect, wait, how come Joe's rooting for the Leafs? It's a Leafs broadcast. This is a Raptors broadcast. All right? Now, Mike, I suggest to you that somebody somewhere looked at Raptors television, looked at the crew and said, got to change the look, got to change it up, whether it's too old, too white, whatever. So Rautins is out and Alvin Williams is in. And also Amy Audebert takes over as the Raptors sideline reporter. She's a fairly experienced basketball broadcaster, a former player, went to University of Miami I think she's from down in Niagara Falls. Yeah. Coached at Niagara College too. Anyway, she's very experienced, but she takes over on the floor, which means that Danielle Michaud and Eric Smith, who both got nutmegged on the deal, are like out. You know, you're bad. They're on. I mean, Eric's not going to do those games. He's going to do radio for Fan 590, but he's not going to be on the sidelines for Sportsnet anymore. That's going to be Amy Audebert's job. So he's going to continue to do play-by-play and radio with Mark Jones on 590 for 41 games.
Paul
the
Jones.
TSN radio crew is the same. It's Jonesy and Sherman Hamilton for 41 games. The TV crew is the same, Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong. You say that Rautins has said that he'll be back as studio analyst, but we don't know if Rod Black is going to be hosting that panel. Kate Burness going to do that? Kayla Gray going to do that? Who's going to do sideline reporting for TSN? So many questions. Why not just consolidate the Raptors TV broadcast crew?
Interesting. I don't know. I think that each network wants to have their own unique stamp. So you got these certain people like a Jack Armstrong. He's like, he belongs to TSN, and you got Eric Smith. You mentioned he belongs to Sportsnet. Like there's certain guys who only like have a exclusivity contract of one side, and then you got the guys like Leo was doing and Devlin and stuff who could play both sides. But yeah, I don't know. I
don't think that many people know the difference. I don't really think that many people go, hey, it's a TSN game. Which
I
means
think you're wrong.
Jack
I think Raptor fans know.
I think you just flip the game on and you watch the game.
No.
And that's Leo. Oh, that's Matt, right? But I don't think it's necessarily, if that's Leo, we got to be watching Sportsnet. If that's Jack, it's got to be the TSN game. And then when you do the radio thing too, it's like, you know, how many times have you gone on the radio and gone, where's that game? Well, it's a Leaf game. Where's the Raptor game? Oh, it's on 680 this week because something else is going on.
Yeah, there's a Jays game.
Yeah, there's a Jays game or something like that. Anyway.
Jays got priority. Okay, so a couple of questions here. Zigomanis, can we dive into that one? Because this is a big shakeup on the Fan 590 morning show. And this one is not, I can tell you now, this wasn't a cost-cutting thing. Like this was, so I don't think Zigomanis was making the big bucks that they'd need to cut that cost.
I think this was inevitable. Don't you? I mean, we've been discussing this for quite a while. The Fan morning show has been a topic of discussion for a long time, years now. I mean, how many different morning shows have they had since Brady and Walker?
Yes, like the curse of Blundell.
Well, after Blundell, then what happened?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now, but they brought back Brady, right. And then Ashley Docking?
With Ashley Docking. And then with Elliot Price.
Right.
Or no, wait a second. With Elliot Price, then with Ashley Docking.
And
then
Hugh
with
Burrell.
Ashley Docking was with MacArthur and Zigomanis.
Right.
Then one of them said, if she stays, I go. We don't know which one. She was gone. And then Zigomanis is gone. And now it's Scotty by himself. Julie Stewart-Binks is, a name that's been thrown around as a possible sidekick. Maybe he does it by himself. Can Scotty Mac go it alone?
I mean, there are morning show guys and gals who do it solo, but when you're talking sports, I think that would be difficult. It's one thing to be Stu Jeffries and you talk for
not mornings.
And I feel like the talk show, although John Moore, although he has John Moore is the sole host of the 1010 morning show, so there are examples. But what do you think? Like, tell us what you predict for the Fan 590 morning show here.
I don't care.
You don't care.
No, I don't.
Right. Was Ziggy any good? I never heard Ziggy on the radio. Was he any good?
Who?
Zigomanis.
No. Shouldn't have been thrown in there in the first place. They probably did it on the cheap. So let's throw a hockey guy in there. We'll throw a girl in there, Ashley Docking. We'll throw Scott MacArthur in there. We'll see what happens. And I believe I mentioned to you when it happened, I said the first thing they should have done, if they were serious about having those three, they should have taken them all up to some retreat for a weekend, get them to know each other,
right.
Do some shtick, throw out some situations, get comfortable with each other before you put them in a booth and expect listeners to go, oh boy, the chemistry's fabulous here. It was awful. You just can't do that. Mike, when you and I started doing these podcasts, it was a feeling out process, but we knew each other. We had spoken enough times off the air. We had had conversations, right?
Well, we had recorded together.
Easier.
We had done a few Toronto Mic'd episodes first.
Yeah.
So we had.
But had we never met or only heard of each other, and now, all right, go.
Right.
And you added a third person.
Right. Right.
Can't have it. By the way, Greg Brady pointed out to me that he and Elliot Price, along with Hugh Burrell on that morning show, had a 7.5 share after Dean Blundell was fired. And for the past 3 years, no morning show has had anything over a 3 share, the TSN or the Fan 590 morning shows. And the TSN, we didn't even talk about the TSN morning show. Landsberg gone. Carlo Koliakovo by himself. I don't even know who's been doing the show. I've heard voices and they don't identify themselves.
I thought you said it was that Aaron Korolnik.
Oh, Aaron Korolnik, right.
Korolnik,
but he was on with somebody else and I don't know who. And I'm listening to the Fan the other day, and it's during the day. I know what it was. I'm listening to the Dan Patrick show, which they air on TSN 1050 middays. Okay, which is a great show. Dan Patrick is awesome. And then I flip over to the Fan, and they've got I guess it's Ben Ennis and JD Bunkis, but Ben wasn't there, so it's JD Bunkis by himself, and he goes like 20 minutes on a rant about all kinds of things. And then slips in some betting stuff because he's got some betting, sponsor in there. Sure. Here's the lines with so-and-so. Out of nowhere, kind of all of a sudden is handicapping 3 football games for the NFL. And then back into some other stuff. But he's sort of asking questions and answering his own questions. And I'm waiting to hear another voice in there. Like my guest is, or joining me on the line is so-and-so. Finally, he ended up interviewing Dan Schulman, which was pretty good. But I thought, man, like 15 or 20 minutes by yourself on the radio these days, that's tough.
Yeah, Gene Velitis points out, though, that Jim Rome has been doing that for 30 years. And
Romy is great.
And he's great. So Scotty Mac.
Romy gets great phone calls, too, in the jungle.
Sure.
Have a take and make sure it doesn't suck. Don't suck.
And KM points out that if there was a morning show like this one he's listening to right now, he says he'd be listening.
I couldn't sustain this 5 days a week, getting up at 4:00 in the morning. If this was a 9:30 in the morning kind of morning show, so we could do this show for 9:30 in the morning Eastern time, perfect for the folks out in Western time zones, right? Pacific time zone.
Vancouver might.
Perfect for you guys, 6:30, 7:30 in the morning in the mountain. Great.
Would we have to talk about the Whitecaps and the Canucks and the Lions?
No.
Okay, good.
No chance. In golf, the Ryder Cup is underway at Whistling Straits in Wisconsin, U.S. versus Europe, in the alternate shot foursomes, which are going on right now as we speak. I don't know the score; it doesn't matter at this point. I'm going to get into it, but you got Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas for the Americans against John Rahm and Sergio Garcia, the Spaniards. You got Dustin Johnson, Wayne Gretzky's son-in-law, and Colin Morikawa against Paul Casey and Victor Hovland. You got Brooks Koepka and, I know you wanted to say Bryson DeChambeau, but no. Koepka and Daniel Berger against Lee Westwood and Matt Fitzpatrick. And Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele against Rory McIlroy and Ian Poulter. And then tomorrow you've got four ball and singles on Sunday. It's a whole big deal. It's the U.S. versus Europe in the Ryder Cup. Very exciting stuff.
So you love this, right? This is up right up
It's
your
a great
alley.
competition.
Okay.
Very exciting. Should mention to you that Crosswinds, I got rained out twice this week at Crosswinds. We were going to play the other day, and the course had so much water that I didn't want to, right? It wouldn't be as enjoyable. And you got to let it, after that much rain, you got to let the course settle, and you got to let the drainage take effect, tremendous amount. So, better for the golf course because it's going to be beautiful late September and October golf at Crosswinds. And I tell you right now, Mark McClure is not going to let that place get out of shape at all. It's beautiful. So go online, crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time now. The weather's going to be much better. Listen, global warming, folks. We're going to get beautiful golf weather right into November and maybe even to December. The Grey Cup is like December 12th this year in Hamilton. It's going to be beautiful. It is.
Promise?
I mean, that's the one good thing about global warming.
Oh.
It is that we're going to have a much milder fall and winter, I think. Or it's going to be a freezing cold winter. And
or I'm going to pull this clip and say, remember when you said this, Hebsy, and it's like minus 30 degrees or something? Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't say every day. I just think that it's pretty obvious, Mike, that global warming is taking effect.
I do not deny that. That's for sure.
That's all I want to say. So get out to Crosswinds and take advantage of global warming. Crosswindsgolf.com. Okay, hockey. Jack Eichel was stripped of his captaincy by the Buffalo Sabres. No surprise there. Raising further questions about his future in Buffalo. He doesn't want to play there. Okay, because he's got this neck injury and it's this whole, the Sabres are saying it should be fused, and Eichel's like, we don't want to do that. And he's already been out for 6 months. It's a whole clusterfuck with this team. Has been for years with the Buffalo Sabres. And so taking the C, here, Kevin Adams, the GM, is like, well, the captain is the most important player, the lifeblood of the team. Bullshit. I mean, come on. We're not talking about the 6-team NHL anymore, the days of Bobby Clark or whatever. No, the captain means nothing. More captains have been traded by teams. Captain doesn't mean shit. It's usually the kiss of death. You get named the captain, and pretty soon you're going to get traded, or something's going to happen where they're going to strip the C from you. I remember years ago, man, Darryl Sittler, Lanny McDonald got traded, and Darryl Sittler said, I'm taking the C off my jersey. They made a big production of it. Brian McFarlane, Hockey Night in Canada, have the cameras in there while Sittler took the scissors and physically cut the C off. Oh, what drama it was. Folks, trust me when I tell you. It's great to say the best player on the team gets to be the captain. It's sort of always the way it's been, right? George Armstrong was never the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he was the captain because, why was he the captain? Because, I don't know. Did the players vote him in? Did Punch Imlach say, Army, you're my captain? Right? Did he have 3 or 4 shitty games and Imlach said, I'm going to take that C, I'm going to rip that C off of your jersey? So really, it's more of I don't know. It's a thing of the past. You got a team of players, okay? Does the captain with the C say, all right, boys, I'm the captain. Follow me. Climb on my shoulders.
Sometimes.
We're going to win.
Sometimes.
But
the Mark Messiers, for example, for sure.
So when they gave Jack Eichel the C, what were they expecting? You know what I mean? The Jack Eichel say, I want to be the captain of this team. I want to be proud, like Gilles Perreault, of wearing the C on the jersey. Who else wore the C on their jersey for the Sabres? I don't know. Is there a great tradition of Sabres captains?
How about was Pat LaFontaine? Was LaFontaine a captain?
LaFontaine, was he the captain? Was Jimmy Schoenfeld the captain of the Sabres? Craig Ramsey
Mike
ever
Pekka.
the captain?
Mike Pekka was probably
Was
captain.
Mike Pekka the
I bet you he was.
captain? See, again, I don't know the history of Sabres captains. Jim Schoenfeld? Jerry Korab? Was he a captain? King Kong Korab? I don't know.
Right.
I know Gilles Perreault was a captain. That's a long time ago. And so what does the captaincy mean in Buffalo for the Buffalo Sabres? Nothing. What does the captaincy mean in Toronto? Rob Ramage was the captain. Dion Phaneuf was the captain.
Right.
I don't even know who the captain is. Is it?
Yeah, it's John
Tavares now.
John Tavares.
Again, I'm sorry. So, Jack Eichel, good luck to you, and good luck to the Sabres. Meanwhile, the Detroit Red Wings are set to play 9 times in Canada this season, but it appears that unvaccinated Tyler Bertuzzi could be missing those games. Oh, yes. Red Wings GM Steve Yzerman spoke about Bertuzzi's vaccination status, which could cause him to forfeit $450,000 in salary for not playing those games in Canada. As an unvaccinated individual flying into the country, Bertuzzi would be unable to enter Canada and exit without quarantining, making his ability to play a challenge? Yeah. Quote, Yzerman, it's his decision. I'm not in a position to force anyone. We can't force anyone to get vaccinated. I personally am vaccinated. My family is vaccinated, and I'll leave it at that. Wow. Meanwhile, Andrew Wiggins, another Canadian, by the way, Bertuzzi's Canadian. Andrew Wiggins' decision not to get vaccinated against COVID-19 is an issue for the Golden State Warriors because the city of San Francisco instituted on August 20th that anyone 12 or older entering a bar, restaurant, club, gym, large indoor event, or any other business serving food or drinks indoors must show proof of vaccination. It includes players. Wiggins told reporters in March he would not get vaccinated. Many are calling for the Warriors to trade Wiggins, who is yet to appear in uniform this year and will not be able to play any home games unless he's vaccinated. Mike, I didn't even think about this. Are you allowed to enter the Air Canada Centre, the Scotiabank Arena, when the time comes, if you're unvaccinated? No, I believe the answer would be no. You have to show proof of vaccination in Ontario, do you not?
Does that apply to employees? Because somebody told me that to go to a restaurant, you have to be vaccinated, but to work at the restaurant, you don't. Like there might be if you work there, for some reason, I don't know why Doug Ford has this exception, but it's possible that if you work there, you don't actually have to be vaccinated. But to attend the game, you definitely would need to be vaccinated. But
That's
we have
the
to
stupidest thing I ever
I know,
heard, isn't it?
But I heard that.
But isn't that the dumbest thing?
Yeah, that is dumb. Like, absolutely. But Hebsy, do we know, like Andrew Wiggins, for example, has he said why he won't get vaccinated? Does he think the vaccine will make, does he express why he doesn't want to have this vaccination in his body? Okay. Interesting. I find this very interesting.
What would you do if you're the Golden State Warriors? And what if there are other buildings, because that's a San Francisco city bylaw. But what if as time goes on, there are other buildings that have, and in this case here in San Francisco, it has nothing to do with the employees, everyone entering a bar, restaurant, club, gym, large indoor event.
And Moose Grumpy is pointing out,
must show proof of vaccination.
Sorry for talking over you there, but Moose Grumpy says on your YouTube channel that MLSE is requiring proof of vaccination for everyone, including the employees. That's their companies, but I'm not too sure.
All right.
A player, I don't know. I don't know because they have a union.
Look, players entering the building. I'm sorry, you got to be fully vaxxed, baby.
Fascinating. Okay, but when players come to play the Blue, like we don't have 100% vaccination status on the Toronto Blue Jays, do we?
I don't know.
No, I doubt it though, because I almost feel like if we did, they'd put out a press release. Right. You know what I mean? And it's fair to say that visiting teams, there's no chance 100% of these visiting teams at the Dome are fully vaccinated. So I don't know. I actually don't know. This is great question.
How does Valera go on the COVID IL list for a day and then comes off of it? And they say it was contact tracing.
Yeah.
If that's the case and there's an outbreak, even a small one, and
right,
it involves a couple or three players. I mean, imagine in the heat of a pennant race, some guy on the Jays or on some team that's in tests positive or has to go on the COVID IL list because they came in contact with someone who tested positive. It's a day, it might be 2 days before you're clear to come back. I mean, all of this is really weird.
It's all very weird. And Alan Gold points out that at the U.S. Open in New York City, fans, umpires, and ushers, etc., all had to be fully vaxxed to enter the facility. But the players, the actual tennis players, did not have to be fully vaxxed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that going on.
Some type of an agreement there with where the players weren't, the Djokovic and such, the anti-vaxxers are like, well, I'm not coming. Obviously, I won't be allowed to go. So they made an exemption.
When you started Hebsy on Sports, we're 251 episodes in. Did you ever envision the day we'd be discussing the players who refuse to get vaccinated and therefore need to be traded or
not once?
No. Wow. Okay.
Before we go, Mike, this year the National Hockey League will feature helmet sponsors. All teams, I'm pretty sure. I know last year, we saw Bell, we saw Scotiabank, we saw other ads for companies on certain teams. We pretty much saw all the Canadian teams. So I don't recall if all the Americans, but just about every team does because you're now allowed to. This is the first season. And so it'll be interesting to see once the season begins where these logos and sponsors are located on the helmet and how long, of course, before they're going to be in various places on the jersey, on the visor, I don't know, on the knee pads, skates. Well, for years, skates, any close-up of a guy's skates, and you can tell, who whether it's CCM or whatever. And so I'm just wondering what it's going to look like. So already teams have come out with sponsorship agreements worth apparently quite a lot of money for the helmet sponsors, like the Seattle Kraken. Their helmet sponsor is Climate Pledge, which is the arena they're playing in, and also Amazon. Chicago Blackhawks, Bell Tire, big, huge tire company in the U.S. The Detroit Red Wings, Meijer, which is a big grocery store, big, I think, department store, grocery store.
Okay.
Huge. Meijer, Meijer, big in Michigan. The Pittsburgh Penguins, Bold Penguin. I don't know what that is. The Maple Leafs, haven't made an announcement yet, but there's rumors that Justin Bieber's clothing company, Drew House, which sent a whole bunch of swag to Leaf players and then recorded these players wearing the hoodies and the jerseys and the toques and the t-shirts. By the way, t-shirts are like $98.
Oh,
and the sweatpants are like $200.
Right.
So this is Bieber's clothing company. So I'm thinking, this is it. The Leafs are going to end up sort of being like the team that kind of breaks out into the celebrity gear, the expensive, not Lululemon, like up above that, the Bieber stuff.
Well, think about it, Hebsy. The Raptors already have a business alliance with Drake in his line, right? So the Drake has the Raptors, and then Bieber has the Leafs.
Well, and again, I doubt very seriously, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Leafs, if they were going to sell out for lots of money, not sell out, but if they were going to, make money, you could make a hell of a lot of money if you aligned your Farkakta hockey team with Justin Bieber. You'd have these Bieberites who probably couldn't care less, half of them
they're called Beliebers.
Beliebers suddenly are going to be Toronto Maple Leaf fans because the Leaf players are wearing his stuff. The sponsor is his company, Drew House, which is his middle name.
Okay.
Justin Drew Bieber.
Okay.
So Drew House. And what the heck? Does it matter to me if you're going to have advertising on your helmet so you can go for it? What do I care? Will there be a marijuana company? Will there be a booze company?
No.
Are you allowed to do that?
You're not allowed to do marijuana because it's in the tobacco
gambling company
smoking rules. You can probably do gambling now.
Oh, I would think so. Huh? I would think so. Open up the floodgates there.
Slippery slope. Watch out.
Betcha. Okay. Anything else, Mike, before we go? Anything from the fans? No? I hear the music.
Oh, well, funny joke. I thought it was funny. Eugene Velitis said, helmet sponsor. Isn't he a German poet?
Helmut sponsor. Yeah.
It made me laugh anyway.
He was the poet laureate of the Reichstag, yeah? Okay.
Shout out to Berlin.
Episode 251 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks as always to Toronto Mike, my buddy, for production, for inspiration, for wearing the Crosswinds cap, for wearing the, he's got the funky stuff going on there. And you should hit him up. At Toronto Mike. He's got a great podcast.
This is interesting, I think, for you, Hebsy man, is that the aforementioned Greg Brady is in my backyard Wednesday morning.
Nice.
So we'll talk about...
also mention
go ahead.
to you that the scheduled podcast with myself and Jim Taddy will not take place.
Because you're holding out till Jim agrees to come on Toronto Mike.
Something like that. Thanks to our fabulous sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Go to crosswindsgolf.com. Book your tee time online today. It's a fabulous place, nestled beautifully between Mount Nemo and the Niagara Escarpment. Gorgeous golf, fabulous course, super nice people, great value. Crosswindsgolf.com. And thanks for allowing us into your headspace. We know it's busy in there. Thanks for taking the time. Back with another episode next week. Hebsy and Mike saying so long for now. This podcast has been produced by TMDS and accelerated by Roam Phone. Roam Phone brings you the most reliable virtual phone service to run your business and protect your home number from unwanted calls. Visit roamphone.ca to get started.
All right, I'm going to turn off the cameras. So goodbye to everybody watching here. He says, this is the best one day a week morning show around. So
that's how they should all be.